Okay, this video is the remediation steps for a quiz. At this point, we've learned several different steps and best practices leading up to the main assessments of quizzes and post-test in TRAILS. So in this case, I'm going to read a few things to you to prepare you for remediation best practices when it comes to quizzes. So TRAILS allows students 2 failed attempts before remediation is required by the teacher on quizzes and post-tests. When a student is locked out of a quiz or post-test, they will let you know they need you to allow them to have a student retake. They may say, I need you to clear my flag. I need you to help me reset my test. Those kind of verbiage will probably be what you hear. Says on a failed post-test, follow our best practices of objective mastery, reassigning any lesson content that was not mastered, and make sure the student remediates. This is 10 to 15 minutes per lesson objective failed before attempting the post-test again. Once remediation is completed with past reassigned content, then allow student retake on the post-test. Again, more on the post-test in the next video, but for the purposes of the quiz, this means that the student has failed a quiz 2 or more times in this scenario. So they've asked you to allow them a retry, clear their flag, etc. So you're going to go to the course in question. You're going to obviously know who the student is. I've been working with student 130 for quite some time now. So whether I'm virtual, it's going to be through email or Google Hangouts communication, but in person, they're going to let you know, hey, I need you to allow a retry on this quiz. I failed it. All right. So that's going to be an indicator again to you that they failed it 2 or more times. So the first 2 attempts is not going to lock them out until they fail that second attempt, but every attempt after that, you're going to have to allow a retry. This is one of our major prescriptive type scenarios where it is self-paced, but at a certain point, teacher intervention becomes more and more needed as multiple failures continue. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to go back to the course that we've been using for this demonstration, and that's going to be the 9th Lit Comp A. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to filter for student 130. All right, and I'm going to go in here. I see that the student is online. And this is the indicator that you see. The exclamation point on any of these assessments, whether it be a quiz or a post-test, that's going to be an indicator to you that, hey, this student needs remediation. That means they failed it 2 or more times. Again, on the student's end, I'm going to show you they're at the quiz. This is, again, student 130. If I mouse over this, if I click on this, it's going to say, it normally gives you an indicator here that you must reach out to the teacher. If you click retake, it says you have used all attempts. To retry a quiz again, you will need to contact your teacher. Okay, so that's your indicator. Going back to the teacher view, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the quiz, and we're going to see that the student took it. You're going to see that they took it 2 times. The first time they attempted it, they made a 40%. The second time they attempted it, they made a 60%. Okay, this is where you're going to be using your teacher judgment, your support staff judgment, whether you're a parapro, etc. Work with the student at this point. Find out what kind of issues they were having. Why did you fail it twice? Did you have any concepts that you were struggling with in this particular lesson? Answer any questions that a student may have, if they have any. Most of the time, they're probably going to say, no, I just need to retry. This would be a good point for you to be able to double check those guided notes, okay? Because in between the lesson quizzes, basically between the pre-test and the post-test, you're not going to know if a student is having an issue unless they have multiple fails on a quiz, if they ask questions, or if while you're up and around every 15 minutes monitoring, you see them struggling with that content. Those are your indicators, and that's why you're there, to help them be successful. So keep that in mind. In this scenario, after you've answered the questions, if you needed to help them with any of the material that they had missed, etc., then you would go ahead and do the student retake. Click confirm. All right. And that's going to show that unlock button that we're all familiar with. The student then goes, they refresh their page, and now they have another attempt at that quiz, okay? Quizzes are slightly different, again, as I mentioned before, than they are in post-test. Post-tests are a little bit, actually much more in-depth than quizzes. We check a lot more when it comes to post-test. Again, from the initial post-test, as mentioned in the previous video, you check those guided notes, make sure a student's ready before you go in and actually remove the hold, okay? But in this case, you've done your part when it comes to quiz remediation and allowing that retry. And hopefully you won't hear from the student again after that. You can rinse and repeat these procedures as needed if the student fails again until they are successful.